Hello. I thought that now that we have finished reading all four books in the adventures of the leprechauns, um, I thought you might enjoy seeing some of the furniture that they have made and some of the things that they use. I've borrowed some of them from the village, and some of them Mr. McAllister gave to me because they were old or whatever. So if you would like to see some of them, I don't know how clearly you'll be able to see it on the screen, but I thought it might be kind of fun. So um, I keep I keep them in this big basket so that if I go to schools, I can show it to the kids. Okay, the first thing, this is one of their rafts. Do you see the pieces of wood? This is this is the raft for the little kids. And they sit on these little pieces of wood. And here's the sail. And it's made out, I don't want to tip it too much. It's made out of a piece of bark. And when they go on the creek, this is what they use. And they, go along and if people ever saw this, they wouldn't believe what they saw anyways, though they're pretty safe. Okay, so that's the raft. What else do I have in here? Oh, here's one of the benches. This is also made out of a branch, and it's held together with pine tree sap. It's, that sticky stuff, and it's very smooth. They sand it down, and you can tell that it's a branch, but this is a bench that they have. They have these for their houses, and they also have them around the fire, and they can fit maybe 4 little kids on this and probably 2 grown-ups. Oh, when they talked about pussy willows, this is a pussy willow. You've probably seen that before, right? And they're just so soft. They feel like little fur. And this is what they use to put inside the cradles for the babies. And they put it inside the sled. And these are also what they use for torches. So they light the pussy willow part, and it glows, and that's their light. So these are pussy willows. You might find pussy willows out if it's springtime when you're watching this. That's when the pussy willows come out. Here's one of Mr. McAllister's ladders. This is also made from branches and held together with pine tree sap. And this is the one that you saw in the picture that was leaning up against his house. He makes them all the time, so he let me have this one. And this, you can see how tall it is. Here's my hand. Okay? So that'll show you how big it is. What else? I'm going to save the best one for last because it's my favorite thing. Let's see. We've got, he gave me this. This is the name tag from his house. It says, Mr. McAllister? No. It just says M-C-A. Mick-A for McAllister because it's just not big enough to put his whole name on. And again, here's my hand. That's how big it is. Okay. Every time I see this, I think of him and the first day we met. This is the broom with the pine needle. And you see the pine needles? And that's what was sticking into Sophie's nose. And they're very prickly on the end. So this is what he would always use to, here, I'll show you again how big it is. Here's my hand. And so he would use this. This came up almost to his shoulders. Oh, the earth ball. We talked about the earth ball. And the earth ball has a cover. This thing is so funny to see them on. This is, it has all pieces of wood on it because wood floats. Here's a seat made out of bark. You can see how it's curved. And it's covered with moss. And in the winter, they they put it at the top of a tree, and there's a tree that goes around. And so they put themselves in the seat and they strap themselves in and they go down the tree on this and they end up in a snowbank. But in the summertime, because it floats, they put it in the water, in the creek, and they get to ride on it, and they just kind of blue, 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 bop down the water. That is an earth ball. Okay. This is the chest that he made for me, and whenever he needed to leave me a message or leave a little gift for me back in the woods, he would put it in here. And before he left, he put some of the pussy willow torches in. Can you see them? Okay. They still smell like a fire. Okay, this is what there. I'll hold it where the curtain is so you can see better. That's one of the torches, and that's what they would hold when they would come down the path. And so he left me some of those in here. These are also like the boxes that they leave the bunny fur in, the donation boxes for the bunny fur in the woods. Now I've got it all over me. All right. This is another kind of raft that they make, and they wrap it with vines, and it's, sticky, and they'll get just a branch and they'll just put themselves down the river. They'll just stand on this. It's kind of like a paddleboard. Do I have? Oh, here were some of their books. Let's see if I can get them out for you. These were some of their books. Here, I'll hold them up again. There, that's how little they were. You see them? Okay, and you can really tell how little they are because there's my hand. Here's one of their books. And I have a bunch of books. He gave me a bunch of his books. He liked to write, and he liked to write down the things that we did. And this is the bobsled from the Leprechaun Olympics. And this is the one that they would tie onto Sophie. He tied this part onto Sophie. Leprechaun would get in, and you can see it's got pussy willows on the seat to be soft and warm. And then he has moss here. And then there are handles here on the inside. And they hold onto those. They strap themselves in. And then do you remember what happens? We tie it to Sophie. They're in this. And it's made out of wood again. See? And we throw the tennis ball, and Sophie loves going to get tennis balls. So we throw the tennis ball, and Sophie runs after the tennis ball, pulling this because this is attached to her collar. And then the leprechauns are like flipping all over and flying, and they try to stay in. And whichever one can stay in the longest is the winner. So that is the bobsled. Then I saved some of these. You know how he always threw pine cones at my head? These were some of the pine cones he threw at my head. And they would be like, and then I'd have to pull them off. I pulled more pine cones off of my head. So those were my pine cones. Well, looks like I have another raft. And then we've got this I had to borrow. I can't keep this. This is one of the stew pots that they use for St. Patrick's Day. And it's also, he left me some big pine cones. These were the 2 pine cones he dropped in my hair when he was saying goodbye for the last time. And I see he left, I I don't know if you can see this. Can you see the gold on my finger? There's gold in the bottom here. He left me a little gold dust. Aww. So there's that. And this. This is it's made of gold. This pot is made of gold. And as I said, they made their stew for St. Patrick's Day in it. And it's also where they keep their gold for the rest of the year. And now, my favorite thing. Okay, where is it? Here it is. Okay, remember the cradles that they used for the babies, and what they did was they would put the cradles hang them from the trees, because these leprechaun babies, even though they're tiny, they are so loud when they cry. And so what they decided was, if they put it in the trees, the birds would come out and they'd sit on the end of the cradles and they would sing and the babies would fall asleep. So it worked out great. But this is my favorite thing. They let me borrow this to show you. Okay, this is one of the cradles. And do you see how it has branches down here that are curved, and that lets it rock? Okay, and it's also made of bark. And then inside it has pussy willows, and it makes it so soft. And so they put this up in the tree, and it just rocks, and the birds sit on the end and they sing to the babies. Pretty smart. So those are all of the leprechaun furniture pieces that I have, and I thought you would really enjoy seeing that. And now it's time for me to say goodbye. And if you would like to see any of my other books, they're at sandybarton.com, or they're on Amazon. And I have a few other books that I haven't shared with you, but maybe I'll do another one of these online recordings and you can see them. But have a good day. I hope you liked our leprechaun stories. Bye for now.